Good morning, everybody. I'm over here making my tea. Good afternoon, actually. It's afternoon. I'm over here making my tea, and I'm thinking, like, why am I still thinking about this so much? Why am I obsessing with this? And I think about Joseph in the Bible. If you know Genesis 41, Pharaoh's dreams, if you know the story of Joseph, he had his dreams. Joseph is son of Jacob, one of his 12 sons. And when he was younger, he had the dream of the sheaves of wheat, and they all bowed down to him. And then later, he had the sun, moon, and stars, and they all bowed down to him. Then his older brothers, they were going to sell him into slavery. There's a couple different versions of the story, but his older brother, Reuben, wasn't actually going to kill him because they wanted to kill him. He was just going to leave him down there and then bring him back. But long story short, he gets sold into slavery. He works for Potiphar, and he ends up gaining access with the guards of the Egyptian army, of Pharaoh's army. Basically, everywhere he went, he was always like put into a leadership position. He ends up working as he interprets the two guys' dreams, the cupbearer's dream and the chief bread baker. These guys worked for Pharaoh. They were accused of something. They got put into prison. He ends up interpreting their dreams and telling them, hey, in 3 days' time, you will be restored and you'll be working with Pharaoh. The bread baker, unfortunately, told him in 3 days' time, you'll be dead and you'll be you'll be impaled at the stake, basically. Like they decapitated him, because the one dream was the crows eating three bread baskets off of his head, and he said in 3 days' time you will be impaled at the stake. You will no longer be serving Pharaoh. And then the other guy, he had the cupbearer. He had the grapevine with three bundles of grapes on it on the grapevine. So he was able to see that in 3 days' time he'll be restored, giving Pharaoh his cup. But anyway, later on, Pharaoh has the dreams about the seven fat cows and the seven skinny cows, and the seven sheaves plump grain and the seven burnt grain. And then Pharaoh ends up interpreting his dreams because the guys, Pharaoh's cupbearer, when he comes back, this is 2 years later after the Pharaoh's cupbearer gets released from jail. The other one dies. Joseph's still in jail. He says, hey, remember me. Tell Pharaoh that I was able to interpret your dream. He forgets about it till 2 years later. Pharaoh's having a birthday party, or it's a party. I'm pretty sure it was his birthday party. And he has the dreams that night. And he calls his cupbearer tells him, hey, I was in jail with this dude Joseph. He interprets dreams. Pharaoh grabs Joseph. Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dreams. He tells him about the fat cows and the skinny cows, the healthy grain and the burnt grain. And he tells him, well, there's going to be 7 years of plenty, then there's going to be 7 years of famine. And he explains this to him, and then later he's like, first of all, the interpretation comes from God. First of all, I'm not going to interpret your dream, but it's going to be through the Holy Spirit. And then when he explains all this to him, and it says in Genesis 41, verse 33, it says, therefore let Pharaoh seek out a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh act and appoint overseers for the land to organize it during the 7 years of abundance. Then should collect all the food. They should collect all the food of these coming years, gathering the grain under Pharaoh's authority for food in the cities, and they should guard it. This food will serve as a reserve for the country against the 7 years of famine that will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish in the famine. This advice pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. Could we find another like him? Pharaoh asked the servants, a man so empowered with the Spirit of God, so endowed with the Spirit of God. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one as discerning and as wise as you. You shall be in charge of my household My household and all my people will obey your command. Only in respect to the throne will I outrank you." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Look, I put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." With that, Pharaoh took off his signet ring and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He then had him ride in his second chariot and showed him a break before him. Thus was Joseph installed over the whole land of Egypt. "I am Pharaoh," he told Joseph, "but without your approval no one shall lift a hand or foot in all the land of Egypt." Pharaoh also bestowed the name Zephanath Paneah on Joseph and gave him a marriage, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of Heliopolis. So basically, why I'm thinking about this, I was sitting here thinking about Bitcoin and all the money laundering, the fraud. Imagine with Bitcoin, they lose over $14,000 right now. It's sometimes up to $30,000 to $40,000 to produce one Bitcoin. They're using huge energy mining facilities that are very wasteful. They're stealing land. They're very hot, have the potential to melt and burn. And they're losing money, and they're using it to launder. Could you imagine if Joseph, after he told Pharaoh, "Hey, this is what's going on. We need to collect this much grain for the next 7 years and protect it, put it in the walls, and then we will be able to distribute it during the 7 years of famine." Could you imagine if he was like, "Well, if there's going to be 7 years of plenty, we could lose 20% every year, and we could still make it. We could make them believe that we have it later." You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine if we were losing 25% grain every year? In 4 years, you would have no grain. After 7 years, there would be negative 75% grain. Like, this is how the Bitcoin, the economy, the stock market, all of these things work. You guys need to find some Josephs to manage your money. That's the moral of the story. You need to have wise, discerning men who know how to distribute the assets. And I'm not talking about communism, who know how to control economies. Because Joseph, whether you believe it or not, he was one of the greatest first economists of the world. He without Joseph's economy, all of us would be dead right now. Everyone had to go to Egypt to get their grain. The rest of the families, the bloodlines that exist today, are because Joseph in Egypt was able to foresee what was going to happen. So, me personally, thank you, Father, for allowing me to read the Bible. Me personally, I think if we don't foresee what's going to happen, our stock market is built on the companies of medical companies' backs. And all these medical companies, they sell products, they do procedures, they invent things. All of it is, and combined, is what the number one cause of death in America is, and that's iatrogenic disease. These medical companies, stocks, you have billionaire CEOs who get hundreds of millions of dollars in incentives and bonuses every year to keep the facade of their stock going, which is causing iatrogenic disease and creating more debt and fake, like, our money is not worth what it is because of this whole system. And it's all built on iatrogenic disease and waste. And now they want to try to act like Bitcoin is something great. Bitcoin is used for money laundering. It's used for buying fentanyl precursors. It's used for buying adrenochrome. It's used in the human smuggling. This has all been proven. Bitcoin is not good. And if you want to say Bitcoin is good, something's wrong with you. You like losing money. You like supporting complete fraudulent missions. Like, it has nothing to do with anything real. It's just built on a belief system, on a fraudulent belief system. It's like, how can we progress and how can we do things better if we're going to use Bitcoin as a standard, or if we're going to still have these economies built on fraud? You know, we need more Josephs in our government. Or they don't even have to be in our government. They can work with our government and teach our government how to do their jobs more properly. That's obviously what it is. That's what they need. Our economy is built on fraud. And I know I'm still wearing this XRP shirt and I'm talking about crypto and economies and stuff. I don't know why I'm so. That's what I'm thinking about lately. But for us to put a standard on something that's built in fraud and expect that to be the standard for the new, what they're calling the new financial system, the new quantum financial. There's already been quantum financial banking and all quantum computing for a long time, but everyone's so greedy they can't they can't get their stories straight, like, because everyone's participating in fraud and they're still trying to become more fraudulent with their banking systems. How could you run an economy if you know you're losing? Like, eventually that's gonna happen. We're gonna have, like, it happens probably more than we want it to happen, but if you guys are gonna have digital currencies that are unregulated, that lose money, that fund fraud, and then first of all, if you look at like the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, they want to get rid of central banking digital or central bank digital currencies. And when I said earlier, I was talking about we should have Federal Reserves, or we should have Treasury departments and reserves. They don't have to be Federal Reserves. Maybe if the Federal Reserve actually represented American like economy, but the Federal Reserve actually represents the banking families. We need to have reserves that are tangible. You can see, hey, and if you want to monitor it digitally, and then that's how you could make economies based off of everything that's coming in and out. Because like I said, the paperwork, people mess up paperwork and leave out paperwork and just straight up make fraudulent paperwork all the time to cover their own backs and their own assets. But if they're trying to build a new banking system and they have all these new AI facilities and they want to make more data centers, if they're not going to do it efficiently and properly and where they can not steal people's energy from the grid, could you imagine all it would take is a couple hackers to hack all the Bitcoin mining facilities, deactivate their cooling systems, deactivate their sprinkler systems, and then those buildings would melt. They would literally melt down. Like, so I'm sure there's some white hats. You guys call it black hat, white hat, Q, follow the plan, blah, blah. I'm sure there's some person who has the ability to do that, who just hates the way the economy's going. I bet you there's someone who could just do it right now. Just be like, you know what? Let's clear someone's debt for them. Computers are so, if you know the language of computers, it's just a freaking language. So what I'm saying is, just imagine if we had people who actually cared about economies and who could see where things are going, who didn't just want money and want more profits, then the world will work out fine. But until you guys learn your mistake from Bitcoin, then this fake economy and this iatrogenic built ecosystem, the whole ecosystem is built on insurance companies and large corporations that provide you, I don't know, services, products, you name it. They do data gathering. Like, they just provide a service or a product or a procedure that causes iatrogenic disease. And iatrogenic disease, let me remind you, it's from overdiagnosing, underdiagnosing, complications from implants, infections from surgeries, infections from, or what do you call it? Yeah, in fact, poisoning from radiation and chemotherapy, and then outside toxic substances that affect the immune system, such as prescribing drugs. That's one of the number one iatrogenic causes of disease. The drugs they prescribe, which is not real medicine, it's just a concoction of laboratory chemicals and what they call ingredients. Because if you look at their ingredient label, that's how they do it. It's policies. Everything has to be written out. These are ingredients, even though they know these ingredients are not meant for human consumption, but it's in all the medicine, what they call medicine, the toxic drugs. Our whole economy is built on iatrogenic disease and the contracts for resources, and a lot of times it deals with war too. It's iatrogenic disease, contracts, and war is what runs our whole world. But our economy is really built on stock markets, which don't have anything to do with real people. You think the stock market affects a real person? No, it's some rich puppet who's a billionaire and he gets millions and millions of dollars every year, and they keep giving him more to do whatever the hell they tell him to do. And then his employees get paid maybe $20 an hour if they're lucky to sell his products or sell his service or advance his agenda for him, whatever kind of CEO he is and whatever service they provide. Could you imagine it? Like, none of us would be alive today if this was the mentality they had when Joseph was assigned. You think if Joseph was like, we could do all this, and then one of the Pharaoh's, magicians came up to him and was like, no, man, we're going to create this magic coin, and it only exists in this little cauldron that I have. And then every time we look at it, we can say, hey, it went up and it's gaining more value. And then we can convince people that we're going to use this to buy more grain somewhere else. Like, Joseph would look at him like, are you out of your damn mind? Like, no. So all these people who are so worried, especially the Trump family, they're invested in American Bitcoin Corp. Just imagine if all those companies just started melting. How are you gonna get your money back? You guys are losing 20% to produce. Your company is negative 20%. That to me sounds like a money laundering front. Your dad would be pissed. Your dad's a billionaire. How much money do you think he's lost being the president of our country? Now you're making a Bitcoin Corp, America, and you lose $20,000 almost to produce one Bitcoin. You're losing the respect of people around you for some digital currency that means nothing to the real economy. It only serves disgusting people like human traffickers, adrenochrome buyers, fentanyl. You can buy fentanyl, humans, and drugs with it, basically. And adrenochrome. Can't buy a bag of chips or a cup of coffee with it. I hope if you do invest in crypto, you only invest what you can afford to lose, because in my eyes, it's all digital, made up garbage. Unless you have some real utility and some real world, some real utility and some real things happening where you can prove what's going on, not just special Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I hope Bitcoin does fail. I hope we learn from Bitcoin, because XRP, Ripple, that's going to be the new standard. There's many other cryptocurrencies that do it way better, and they don't need the huge data mining facilities. They don't need to steal people's land. They don't need to waste energy. And they can actually prove their tangible assets and what they've done. And they can have records of it. Doesn't need to be all secret like Bitcoin. And then also, one of my favorite digital currencies, PiCoin. Mine Pi. If you want to mine Pi, you can find the description in the channel. I have a link. You get your first PiCoin for free. Pi is going to be listed on every, everywhere. I can't even remember what the hell the thing's called right now because I'm not really worried about it. But it's on Kraken right now. It's going to be on Coinbase. It's going to be on crypto. It's going to be crypto.com. It's going to be on all of them. And it's really cheap right now. And it's got its own economy. It's built by 2 PhD professors who built their own cryptocurrency and their own economy. I'm pretty sure they're from MIT. Dr. Cheng-Do Fan and Nicholas Kakalis, Dr. Nicholas Kakalis. They're doing some things, and you can mine for free, and it's going to be worldwide, and then they're trying to have great things going soon. You know what I mean? They don't need no hundreds of billions of dollars of money laundering to produce a digital currency. And especially in America, when we have American crypto is going to be tax-free. We want it regulated and we want it put into law. So that way these people don't keep violating you people, and us. So them people don't violate us people and you people. Does that make sense? Because in my eyes, those people, them, I don't know why they have a position on this stage. They call it their world stage. I know why, because they're all globalists and they're all separated and they don't believe in creation. Most of them don't even honor the Bible. The first page in the Bible teaches creation, but they manipulated it and reversed it and turned it completely opposite. So, if you don't respect God, you think He's going to respect you or your economy or your fraud or any of your manipulations or your schemes? I don't. I think that's why God does what He does. He does it on His own timing. But yeah, it'd be nice to see treasuries and reserves that are actually tangible assets, and you can monitor them digitally. And what that means, everything that comes in and out, they'll be using AI for that. That's a helpful use for AI, having to monitor digital assets and stuff, not tracking humans, learning our algorithms to try to control us more. Those are evil intentions by evil people. So anything can be used for good or bad. Not anything. I mean, obviously there's horrible things that you can't use for good, but this digital revolution, this AI, all these different things that they want to happen, if we don't learn from our mistakes, then it's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. And I'm praying on that. Why would you want to, hey, you didn't do steps 1 through 5, but you want to go to step 7, 8, 9, 10 already? Skip chapter 6 if you want. Go ahead. Like, you guys are stupid. I just think of how Joseph would have thought about this. Joseph, right now, he would probably get rid of all the fraud, all the insurance companies, all the iatrogenic disease. He would, the Department of Government Efficiency, what happened to that? You guys, the government you guys are servants of us. You work for us. You guys are all public servants. Did you forget that? Did you not know that? Did they never teach you that? You think government is above the people? Think government is above God? No. It goes God, people, government. That's the order. If you guys don't know that, you're in the wrong business. I swear, if I was President Trump and my son got into some business where he's losing $20,000 and putting my name on that, I would smack the shit out of him. Like, what are you doing, son? No. You're on punishment. I don't believe in Bitcoin. I don't believe in American Bitcoin Corp. I don't believe in Singapore Bitcoin. I don't believe in none of that shit. I don't believe in Michael Saylor or his fake script. I want to see Michael Saylor buy something for $100 billion worth of Bitcoin that doesn't include adrenochrome, fentanyl, weapons, drugs, children. I want to see him try to buy something worth $100 billion worth of Bitcoin. Not happening. So, like I said, think about it like Joseph would do it. Get rid of all your loose ends. Get rid of all the waste. And start saving and start thinking strategically. That's what you guys need, is some more Josephs around you and less government. Have a wonderful day.